Hi everyone, and thank you for joining again. In this video I will show you how you can make this beautiful Boston bag here. For our crochet bag we will use this yarn here, and as usual I will link everything you need in the video description, so please just click on more below the video and you will find everything you need. As usual, we start our crochet bag with a slip knot, and then we make 90 chains. 90 chains. Then we start in the second chain from the hook, this one here, and make a slip stitch. Then we make a half double crochet, and then we make a slip stitch again. And now we make half double crochet and slip stitch in turn until the end of the row. Our total stitch count of the row is 89 stitches because we started in the second chain from the hook. And as you can see, I'm just working on a little swatch here. Your first row is of course much longer than mine. I was far in the pattern at this point, so I just made this little swatch to show you how the stitch is done. Now at the end of each row, we chain one, turn around, and our stitch pattern remains the same. We start with a slip stitch. The first one of each row is always a little difficult. And then we make half double crochet. And we do these 2 stitches in turn until the end of the row, and end the row with a chain for the turn. And then you go on with this pattern for 19 rows. 19 rows. 1 and 9. 19 rows. Now this is the full main part of the bag. Row 1 to 19 in the pattern, then 20 to 33 in single crochet, and 34 to 52 in the pattern again. This is a close-up. First 19 rows in the pattern, row 20 to 33 in single crochet, row 34 to 52 in the pattern again. At the end of row 52, you don't cut the thread, but we go on and work one round all around this main part. And to do so, you can see these large loops here on the side. And we will now make 2 single crochet in each of these loops. So I already made my chain here. And now we go on with 2 single crochet in each of these loops. If you notice that your stitches become too squeezed together, you can just make 1 single crochet in the next loop and then make 2 in the loop after. We don't need a certain stitch count here. This is just to get a nice and even edge. Now, in the pattern area, you go on like this and work in these big loops here. Then in the single crochet area, you have the upper loops here and these lower loops here. And this is where you poke in the upper loops, and this is how you poke in the lower loops. And in the upper loop, then in this lower loop, upper loop, lower loop, and you place one single crochet in each of them. Then you have the pattern again with these big loops. There you place 2 single crochet again. Then here in the corner you have this loop. This is the turning chain to row 1. There you also make a single crochet. Then you work in the lower side of the foundation chain. I think this is clear. Then you have the loop of the slip knot. There you also make a single crochet. So we don't have any increased pattern in the corners, just one single crochet. Then you have the big loops again, where you place 2 single crochet. Then in the next corner, this is where you also place a single crochet. And then, so this little loop here, and then you work along the last side. And meet me here. When you finish the round, you will have these nice and even edges here. I will explain the stitch markers later. And I already cut the thread here, pulled it through, and now we will end the row or the round together by making a fake stitch. To make this fake stitch, you poke in below the next stitch, pull the thread below it, and then bring it back in the middle of the current stitch. And now you can weave the end in. The small side panels start with 21 chains. Then starting in the second chain from the hook, you make 20 single crochet per row and make 24 rows in total. I already made my chain here. And now we want the side panels to become narrower to the top. And to do that, we make a reduction at the beginning and the end of each row, which means you pull the thread through the first 2 stitches. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all of them. This is how it looks like. And then you go on with single crochet until you reach the last 2 stitches of the row. And by the way, I know that's pretty bright here, but I thought that you can see the yarn better in this way because it's such a dark yarn. Now at the end of the row, we again pull the thread to the last 2 stitches. We again have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all of them, chain for the turn, turn around, and now pull through the first stitch again, pull through the second stitch again, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all of them, then go on with single crochet until you reach the last 2 stitches of the row, and there you make a reduction again. And we do this reduction pattern for 3 rows in total. The first one is finished, the second one we just began, and then we'll follow a third one. This will reduce your stitch count to 14 stitches in this row. So these are rows 25 to 27 where you made the reductions. And you can see I remain with 14 stitches here. Already made my chain for the turn, and our last row will be single crochet for the whole row. So 14 single crochet in row 28. In the end, you cut a long tail, pull the thread through, and you of course repeat that twice because we need 2 side panels. The last parts that we need are these here. We start with 47 chains, then make 46 single crochet, so we start in the second chain from the hook again, and in total we make 2 rows. Then again cut a long tail, and repeat that twice. The idea behind these parts here is that we will sew them on the zipper that we have to frame it in single crochet. Now, at the long side of the main part, we have to mark the bottom of the bag. It has to be as wide as the small side panel, which means for my bag that I have 18 centimeters for the large sides, so on both sides of the bottom. And my bottom is round about 9.5 centimeter. The easiest way is, because these measurements can always vary a little, that you place the side part on the long side of your bag and then adjust it so that it's placed in the middle of this long side. And then you of course mark this with stitch markers and repeat on the other side. To start sewing everything together, the easiest way is to pin everything in place with these stitch markers so that you can check if everything is well. You can adjust the position of the side panels again if anything is wrong. And then you take the long tail that we cut from the small side parts and see which is the first stitch where you have to poke in. And then you basically go through the loops here with your needle that I use for the stitch marker here, and just go back and forth through these loops. So I will use, as you can see, I always try which loop I can reach best. So there's no strict rule which loop you have to use. So these work fine for me. And I would just poke through them, pull the thread through, and then go back from the other side through these loops here. And this way you just go back and forth to sew the small side panel on. When the small sides are fixed, this is how it looks like. And now we fix the, let's call them zipper covers, in a position so that the whole zipper part is in the end as wide as the upper part of the small side panels. So this is the position you have to sew them on to the zipper. To sew them on, for me it's easiest to fix them with these document clips. And then I bring my thread to the back side somehow. Like this, maybe. And then I always poke through these holes in the zipper. Poke back to the front through the next loop. And in the crochet part, this is where my needle goes to the front. Have to cut that. Then I poke in the same way. And so on. And in this way you sew this crochet part to your zipper. When both sides are fixed, this is how your zipper looks like. I think it's prettier in this way than only the leather zipper. Now to fix it onto or sew it onto the main part, you place it in the middle. And as you can see, I bend the crochet part up to the main part of the bag so that it's lying flat to the main part. And of course you adjust it so that it's in the middle of the main side. Now take your time here so that it has a nice shape. Then you take your needle again, and since this crochet cover of the zipper is lying flat to the main part, you can now just easily poke through the main part and the zipper crochet zipper cover, whatever I call it, you know what I mean, and go back and forth to sew these two parts together. Now when you sew, you of course have to be aware that you hide your stitches in the pattern, which means I will show you a little close up. So now you can see here that I poke through the zipper cover. Then I just poke back through it and in the main part. And now, this is a little close-up. And to hide your stitches in the pattern, you of course don't cross the large loops of the pattern, but try to poke in somewhere where there are these small stitches or small loops, and never cross one of the big loops of the pattern, because then your stitch will be totally visible. So now here you can see it better. As I said, never cross the large loops, but I will poke in somewhere here where the small loops are. And as you can see, there vanishes my loop. Great. And in this way you just sew on the zipper on both sides. Now in the end, you just sew on the 4 D-rings with a few stitches, clip in your handle, and your bag is finished. And that's it again. I hope you like your new bag, and if you like the tutorial, please give me a like, drop a comment and subscribe to my channel.